everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Rock the Rep. I hope this is still coming through because it just gave me the little weak signal screen. So sorry if that happened and I lost you there for a second. So welcome to another episode of Rock the Rep. This week we are going to unpack Adele's Easy on Me. So just a reminder before we start unpacking these concepts that the goal of deconstructing what a singer does is not so that we can mimic or exactly copy and recreate what they do, because we already have them. We already have an Adele. We want you and your special magic. But we also want your magic inside the realm of the genre or the style within which you're working. So we deconstruct and study these singers so that we can find things that are consistent tools across different genres and styles that you can put in your tool belt and apply so that you're within the genre and the style, but it's still authentically you and not a remade Adele. Okay, so I'm going to teach you 3 things that she's doing in the verse today that are tools that you can put in your tool belt as pop rock techniques that they're kind of fun go-to that will take it from just a really good breathy sound and a good belt into some special nuance that Adele is genius at. So the first thing that Adele does that is fascinating to me is that she is someone who infuses air into the sound after she starts. Now, usually, as we talked last week with Olivia Rodrigo, most pop singers will, if they're going to go breathy, they're going to start the sound breathy. They're going to start with an H. But Adele actually will start the sound, and then she'll plug the H in partway through so that it starts strong sounding, but then it goes into the breathy. So, for example, if I were to, in the very first phrase, do it in the word gold. There ain't no gold. So by doing hold, I start with the G, which sounds strong, and then throwing that H in moves me back into breathiness. So if we were to apply this throughout the first part of this verse, and I just throw in some H's in the middle of words, you'll hear where it starts strong, and then I throw in the H's, and that moves it to breathy. So it's sort of like a reverse concept of what we did with Olivia Rodrigo. So kind of like this. There ain't no gold in this river that I've been washing my hands in forever. So I throw that extra H in, which adds breathiness in the middle of the word rather than the beginning. So that's step 1. Infuse H in the middle of words. Play with that. It's going to give you a little bit of a different approach than the majority of pop singers do. The second is you're going to use shadow vowels to create ease between tricky consonants. Adele does this specifically in 2 places, between this river and these waters. And it just helps keep it from feeling like this river and feeling stuck and these waters and feeling stuck. Instead, there's a shadow vowel or a UH that happens in between. So instead of this river, it's this a river. And instead of these waters, it's these the waters. For example, there ain't no gold in this river. If I don't throw that shadow vowel in, it sounds like this. There ain't no gold in this river. And it feels tight for a second. So by throwing that shadow vowel in this river, I buy myself some ease. Same thing. That I've been washing my hands in forever. Same thing. Here we come. I know there is hope in these waters rather than in these waters. We put that UH in there, it creates the ease. In these waters. Okay? So step 2 is you can use a UH to move you between tricky consonants. And then step 3 is at the end of the verse, think in terms of a vocal gear shift. When we are singing classical for traditional legit musical theater, the goal a lot of times is to keep the vocal quality stable and consistent and the same, to not vary between vocal qualities. In pop rock, it's actually often the opposite, and I call them gear shifts because it's going to feel like a complete shift from one placement or one thickness versus thinness to another. There's lots of ways people describe this, but if I'd say maybe the easiest way to think of it is like heavy versus light. So Adele does this on I am drowning in this silence, baby let me, and then she switches to a lightness on in. I am drowning in this silence, baby let me. Okay, so when you're working on that, know that that is going to feel drastically different to you. And it might feel a little bit like you're going to lose control of it at the top. Give yourself room to lose control of it, and then it will restabilize. But it'll only restabilize if you allow it to get messy and lose control. So think, I'm going to have you think D, 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 hen, okay? D, 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 D. Okay? Once you feel comfortable with that and you're like, okay, I am switching from this full to this lighter, then plug the words back in, still use that H. That H will help you achieve the lightness on the top to get to the word in. Okay? Great. So to recap, infuse, H in the middle of words. Use shadow vowels to create ease between tricky consonants, and think in terms of vocal gear shifts and be okay with things feeling drastically different from one word to the next, sometimes from one syllable to the next. Stay tuned. Part 2, we'll unpack the chorus on Wednesday. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comment section. Happy to help and answer any questions that you've got. You guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.